All right. I think we're live. All right. So just kind of getting started here. I know this isn't going to be too fancy. I'm just kind of trying to get the ball rolling and start somewhere, making some content of how I use Logic. I've been using Logic for, gosh, how old am I? I've been using Logic for 20 something years, 24 years. Anyway, it's come a long way. So we got a bunch of drum takes here we did for this song, working title Black Vanna. It just kind of had some vibe of Black Sabbath and Nirvana. That's just a working title. We don't really have all the lyrics for it yet. But anyway, we just got some rough drums. I got really nothing on the drums, some scratch guitar and scratch bass to hold it all together. And let's see, it looks like we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 takes. Looks like we started a take there and didn't finish it. I'm going to go ahead and clear that one. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But yeah, so let's get started. Let's see what we got here. I've done a preliminary selection here, and I'm just going to go through and clean this up a bit. Pull that back, that'll be fine, and then we'll dig into some of the fills and whatnot. If anybody's in the comments or sees, let's see, feel free to give me any feedback. If you hear anything sounding messed up, too loud or distorted or anything like that, please let me know. There's a cool little spot there. I'm actually going to check out what else do we have around here. I probably already listened to this once or twice. It's kind of cool, but I'm just going to check out a couple other spots. So you got quick swiping mode on here. In your menu here, you got this little guy here. Scissors lets you actually edit within the take folder. And then this little matrix block looking icon means you're in quick swipe mode. It means you just what it says. You quick swipe which one you want to keep. All right, so move back. I actually like that. I'm not gonna get too picky with it. Kind of listening for anything that just doesn't sound musically like it flows. And once I'm done, I'm going to show you how to comp this like really smooth and clean. So I'm going to listen to some other ones right here real quick. Might be a little bit busy for that earlier on the song. Yeah, I'm gonna roll with what's there. This is actually kind of part of the songwriting process. When you got a bunch of ideas you throw down, and you select which ones you want to keep. And once we're done working in a linear fashion, we can actually cut and paste and scoot things around, forward and backward in time. I'm gonna stopping and just let it roll. Unless I hear something that really needs to be addressed. And if it's all good, I'm just going to trust this preliminary selection and then start the comping process. Hey, somebody's watching. Who's watching? I got the little comment window open over here so I can see if you make a comment. Hello, one person watching. Let me know how it sounds, if it sounds too loud or quiet in the comments, if you don't mind. Roll with it. Hey, Drew. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Drew, you are one of my favorite people in the world. You are a true hero. You've probably saved more lives than anybody I know. God bless you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving. All right, you know what? I'm going to cut this short. I'm happy with what I'm hearing so far. I'm going to trust that I did a good job before, and I'm going to go ahead and do a save as and save this as the next version. Actually, you know what? No, screw that. There's two ways to do this. Instead of that, I'm going to actually just copy this forward so it's all in the same project. This might slow down my processing, but until I start mixing, I'm not really going to be digging in too far. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this over like that. See how that goes. All right, there I got a fresh copy. Now I'm going to actually flatten this. Then you go to your menu, you just go to flatten. And this is where you got to kind of dig in and start meticulously making sure everything transitions from take to take. All right, so I don't even need that. I'm going to actually pull this back. All right, I don't even need to pay attention to that first one. Kind of. Now I can actually even mute the bass and vocals because I don't really care. All I care about is transitions right now. That it sounds smooth. Anybody else watching? Oh, thanks, Drew. I heard nothing there. Here we go. All right, now it's getting interesting. Cymbals are the number one thing when it comes to, making a smooth comp. And it's about to get a little bit messy for a second here, but what I like to do is get it where you can actually see the transients of the hits that you're trying to cut. And you're going to want to really line them up where it almost looks like it's the same thing on top of itself. And then scoot the early one back. And then give yourself some nice crossfade time. And up here, I've got your drag mode and crossfade. It's real important. By default, it'll go to no overlap. Look at that. Totally seamless. You'd never know. Cool. Moving on to the next one. Move this forward. So I want that snare to be our cut point. So once again, this is where it gets boring. Now you get the concept. Now I just have to do this a bajillion times. And, Logic will kind of sometimes jump around on you like it's trying to snap to a grid. But if you hold the control button on your keyboard while you drag, it'll basically, do away with that snap to grid mentality, so to speak. That actually sounded like it was a tad bit early, even though it wasn't. So I'm going to correct that by just scooting that forward and making our crossfade a little bit longer. Let's see how that sounds. Still sounds just a tiny bit early, so I'm going to scoot that forward just a touch more. That sounds a little more natural. I'm going to roll with that. You can also hold Command Shift and then your little left and right arrows, your comma and period, and scoot your loop points around so you don't have to, go up here and click drag so much. I love keyboard shortcuts. Anybody else watching? All right, so this is interesting. So since we have a tom that's going to roll and it's going to decay into that next take there, I want to look at it and see how bad this is going to be. So I like my takes to occur on big hits like kicks or snares, and you got to be mindful of cymbals because that's the most obvious thing you hear when you're making a transition. That actually doesn't sound too bad, but I really don't like the idea of that kick being compromised. So I'm going to actually see what it sounds like if I use the snare instead. Another cool thing I like to do sometimes is you hold Control and Alt, and you can make your little zoom tool, and you can zoom way in and get real sharp with it. Bam. Be before that transient. And another thing, sometimes, because we got a top mic and bottom mic and an inner kick and an outer kick, you got to be mindful that sometimes the one that you're looking at might be a little bit further mic placement and or closer for that matter, and then the one you're looking at is a little further out in time, and the one you're not looking at is a little earlier, and you might accidentally start your fade a little bit off and either miss the beginning of a transient or whatever. Beautiful. All right. Next. All right, a bunch of toms going on over here. I'm going to actually scoot that and see what the heck's going on here. Okay, so there's a kick happening there. So what I want to do is get real sharp. I'm going to make that just dead on the beginning or the end before that kick begins. And then right at the beginning of this transient, I might actually zoom in further. See, it's got a little ghost transient there. Can't even really see it until you get way in. That's because there was another hit bringing it out. So the true beginning is probably about there. All right, and then I'm going to get those as close together as possible. Kind of does this automatic crossfade thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm going to go ahead and give it the crossfade that I want, which is going to be maybe about 1/3 of that decay of the previous hit. Let's see how that sounds. I think in the context, it's going to sound a little bit more normal. Yeah, that sounds fine. See how boring this gets really quickly? Anyone still watching? I'm more or less just forcing myself to start making content with this stuff, and hopefully going to get better at this. And I'm, the ultimate goal is that someone out there is going to find some of this useful in their own creative work. I mean, I remember when I first got Logic, it was so expensive, and it used to be for PC as well. It was eMagic, and then Logic bought it. And I bought Logic so many times in life and had to pay for it again and again each time I got the new version. And now with Apple, it's only $200, and it's more powerful, than anything that was out there, 15, 20 years ago. By light years. Whatever DAW you use, some people try to tell you that, you got to have Pro Tools. Well, for compatibility, there might be some advantage to that. That's true, but I've yet to see anything. That someone purports that Pro Tools can do that Logic can't do. I've yet to see that. All right, we got something interesting here. I'm going to go ahead and hit undo a couple times. I obviously don't have hits happening at the same time because these two ideas are merging. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do to find a good timing is I'm going to go even further out. There we go. Scoot that one. Zoom back out. So now we're fixed in place for this guy. And that looks like a nice healthy crossfade. Nice, seamless. What we want. All right. All right, let's find what's going on here. I'm hitting right around there on this one. Yeah, there is. Okay. Good. That gives us something to look at. So there's a snare hit there, and I'm going to line, leave this tom hit, tom 2. Right around. Bam. Extend that crossfade. See how that sounds. Nice. No one will ever know. All right, another boring one. Back to our kick. Once we get all this nice and tidy, we're going to get Kyle's blessing. Kyle's the drummer for the Dizzy Bangers who performed these drums. And once we get his blessing, we'll move on to the next step. Let's see. Nice. And it's not unheard of that I, miss a step and I flub a crossfade and didn't even realize it. In which case, I'd go back to the old saying, if it sounds good, it is good. So, oh, we got another difference in performance over here, unless that's just a really long way out. I kind of doubt that, but let's see. Oh, no, it is. Okay. All right, give it a little more context. Yeah, not bad. That just a little bit more crossfade to help with those cymbals. All right. Nice. Time's at 11:54. If you're watching this after the fact and you have the ability to fast forward, you could probably fast forward quite a long way. All right. What's happening here? Tom's coming in there. Next hit happening there. Ah, same thing. Okay, cool. Line it up. Out. Zoom in. Nice healthy crossfade. Beautiful. What is hitting what here? All right, it's a kick. So, find that kick. Here's a good example. See how the inner kick has a shorter, delay before the audio actually gets to the DAW because the mic is closer in the outer kick. Good example of why I should watch this one because it's happening sooner. And then I'm going to line up the phase later on for those of you advanced users that are like, why aren't you lining up the phase yet? I'm going to get to that. All we're doing right now is choosing which performance to keep. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Right there. Happy Thanksgiving again, everybody. I only have a couple more minutes, and then I gotta take the baby while my wonderful wife cooks a dish, and then we're gonna head on up to some family's house and enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope the rest of you are too. All right, so hopefully he played the same thing. Oh yeah, he did. Cool. The other thing I'm gonna do eventually is beat map all this before we start doing all the main guitar, bass, and vocals and stuff. That way, it's just so much faster to set your loop points. That way, you can just jam on a riff for a while and repeat yourself. I'll show you how to do that the right way as well. I guess I'll just use this song and just kind of go through it start to finish. It's kind of a heavy song, but kind of show you how to do a rock song, edit and mix from start to finish. Yeah. Nice healthy crossfade. Let's check our work. Nice. Completely unnoticeable. What we want. Eventually you get to the point where you can do this with just your eyes if your cuts are all close enough, and you could, like, you know, watch The Walking Dead in the background or something, because it just becomes so monotonous and boring doing this. So there is. Let's see what happens if I give it a little bit longer crossfade. Cymbals are a little, yeah, that sounds a little more natural. Yeah, that's better. All right. Toward the end of the song. Oh, we got some garbage over here. Yeah, I remember what it is. See if we got a nice seamless snare there. Sorry about that noise gate. I just got to stay right up on the mic. Kind of shooting from the hip without zooming in. And honestly, like, oops, undo. I love the undo key. There's a setting in here where you can set how many undo steps, and it actually, you know, it's good to have it, but man, it actually eats up your RAM to have too many undo steps in there. So nice, perfect timing. 12 o'clock. All right, that's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the letter J, and it's going to automatically turn all these into a single audio file, and that wraps up this episode of Kenny Haven Recording, featuring working title Black Vanna by the Dizzy Bangers. Drums. See you next time. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Create.